Good morning, or depending on when you're watching this, good afternoon, good evening, or good night. My name's Ross, and as always told, out of Voice of Radio. So today we're going to rank all of the new ace specs that are coming around in Temporal Forces. Temporal Forces is releasing on the 22nd of March. It is becoming legal for the very first time at the EUIC. Friday of EUIC is when this is going to become legal. And it's reintroducing, I should say, ace spec cards. Now, what ace specs are, they're a weird kind of card that we had back in Gen 5. And basically, the rule is you can have one of any type of ace spec in your deck. So you can have one total ace spec. There are going to be 7 available in our set. And playing one copy of one means you can only play one of that. And you cannot play any of any others. It really is as simple as that. 1 in total. And we've had a bunch of results over from Japan. Shout out to lovely Joe of Omnipoke for collecting all this together and making it much easier. So with all of these results, we've got some information. It doesn't really clear things up too much. It gives us the number 1, it gives us the number 7, and then it gives us 2 tiers in the middle. Good. Excellent. So in at number 7, and I do think this is a very clear number 7, we've got Neo Superior Energy. This is the worst one. It is an energy card that says, when attached to a Pokemon, this card provides 1 colorless energy, but if it's attached to a stage 2, it provides any 2 energy. Now, shout out once again to the lovely Joe, who has dug and dug and dug, and found that there was actually a Tinkerton EX deck that did play Neo Superior Energy. There's one out there. Now, to be fair, it's far from the best deck in the format. There was a top 4 at a City League. But look, that's the best we've got. We've got a top 4 at a City League. That is the absolute best result that this card has managed. So no, it's not particularly good, all right? No one's arguing it's particularly good, so that's why it's in at number 7. Now, in at number 6, there's basically 3 cards all vying around the same, but I'm putting Master Ball. Now, I do need to acknowledge that Master Ball has become the ace spec of choice for Lugia V Star decks, which are actually making a comeback post-rotation. So it's not unplayable. It's just, I should say, an ace spec that lets you search for any Pokemon. It's actually a straight reprint of Master Ball that was an ace spec last time around. When we had ace specs in Gen 5, one of them was Master Ball. So, yeah, it's back. And it is seeing, like, legitimate play in Lugia decks, which is lovely. That's it. That's the best I can say about it. That's why it's in at number 6. Now, in at number 5, and look, 4 and 5 are super close together, all right? But I'm putting in at number 5, Reboot Bot. Now, like I say, 4 and 5 are really, really very close together. Reboot Bot is the future ace spec. For each of your future Pokemon in play, choose 1 basic energy from your discard pile and attach it to that Pokemon. And we've seen that decks focused on, say, Miraidon and Iron Crown are doing very well in Japan right now. Miraidon does 40 damage while accelerating energy from your deck, and Iron Crown lets you do an extra 20 damage for all of your attacks. And it's a good deck, and it's doing very well, and this is the ace spec of choice. Why am I putting this in at number 5? Because I do think it's just ever so slightly worse than the drum. Although, again, if you want to flick these around, I will not be upset even a little bit. This is obviously Drum of Awakening. Now, also bear in mind, I've made no secret of the fact that I'm going to be playing Ancient decks when the rotation hits. So there's also a little bit of bias going on here, I'll be honest. Now, Drum of Awakening just lets you draw a card for each of your Ancient Pokemon in play. And Ancient decks, and we're largely talking single prize decks here, built around, the general trio tends to be Roaring Moon, that does 70 damage plus 10 for each Ancient Pokemon in your discard, Koraidon, which does 30 damage for each your Ancient Pokemon in play, and Fluttermane, which turns off abilities when it's in the active. That seems to be the general trio that people are working with here. And you know what? It seems like a cool deck. It's definitely my kind of deck. It's definitely the kind of deck I'm going to be playing post-rotation. And this just lets you draw a bunch of cards. For me, I think that drawing, potentially 6 cards fairly early in the game is going to be more impactful than the energy boost you get from the future card. But it's very thin margins. And obviously you've got Miraidon to be accelerating energy in the early game. So yes, I'm putting them this way round, but you could put them the other way round and I wouldn't be terribly upset. But then we get to the 3 that are actually seeing significant play. And in at number 3, although I just want it on the record that 2 and 3 are again very close together. But in at number 3, I'm putting Maximum Belt. Maximum Belt is a tool card that you attach to one of your Pokemon and you deal 50 more damage to EXs. It's a very cool card that's seeing a bunch of play. It is currently the A-Spec of choice for Giratina decks. Doing that extra 50 damage can be huge. Remember, Giratina naturally does 280, and decks like Charizard have 330, so that extra 50 actually makes a huge difference. And this is back what I was saying previously, which is, when this card was first revealed, I basically told you this is going to be the A-Spec of choice where your deck really needs that extra boost in power to get that KO. And for Giratina, making that jump from 280 to 330, absolutely huge. Makes sense that it's a choice there. The other one, weirdly enough, is Charizard. Charizard is the other one where this is the A-Spec of choice, and it's a similar kind of thing. You start off with 180, and then you go up by 30 for each prize card your opponent has taken. But let's say they've taken 2 prize cards, that's 240. But then this puts you up to 290, which all of a sudden gets a KO on Lugia, for instance, which is kind of a big deal. Or if your opponent's taken 4 prize cards, well then all of a sudden you're doing 300, so this puts you up to 350, which then lets you KO anything like an opposing Stage 2 EX. And that's kind of my point here. These decks tend to default to this as their one of choice, and the reason very simply is they are decks where the extra 50 really lets you hit that number. Now, in at number 2, I'm putting Hero's Mantle, but again, I want it on the record that 2 and 3 are very close together. We got a very clear number 1, very clear 7. I think 6 is clear, but 4 and 5 and 2 and 3 could be switched around. And Hero's Cape just gives an extra 100 HP. And I told you guys when this was revealed, it's really down to bulk. Do you really need that extra 100 HP to survive in certain matchups? And if the answer is yes, then all of a sudden this becomes a borderline essential card. And this has seen play, like, it turns out Great Tusk Mill is like a thing in Japan post-rotation, which honestly completely caught me by surprise, did not see it coming, love it. But obviously that's going to need it. Gardevoir is actually using this to basically take itself out of range of, well, like everything, frankly. Because Gardevoir, you're damaging yourself to accelerate energy, you're getting big KOs, the extra HP is huge. Snorlax, like it's literally got an ability called Block. The entire point of this is blocking your opponent and stopping them doing very much, so being able to have that extra 100 HP is pretty gosh darn big. And Hisuian Gudra seeing a bit of play post-rotation, and obviously that is another tanky deck. Reduces damage massively done to it. Obviously, if you're a deck like Gudra, where, literally you're using Rolling Iron to reduce damage by 80, your V-Star ability, your V-Star power is Moisture Star that heals completely. Yeah, having that extra 100 HP is going to be absolutely huge. So that is, in those decks, the A-Spec of choice. But number 1's Prime Catcher. And the problem is, I can't even really sit here and start going through all the different decks that play Prime Catcher, because we'd be here too long. It's gusting with no real downside. No real downside at all, other than the fact that you can only play 1 in your deck. And there's a million different ways that this gets played. Chen Pao loves this, Golden Go loves this, Roaring Moon loves this, Miraidon loves this. There are actually some Charizard builds that love this as well. the point is, this is one of those cards where, and look, I've been saying this since the day it was revealed, the default is going to be, I'm playing Prime Catcher. That does not mean that everybody is playing Prime Catcher. It means that every deck assumes they're playing Prime Catcher. We assume every deck is playing Prime Catcher. But then we are willing to be wrong if we've got a reason to be. If somebody comes along and goes, oh no, wait, no, in this particular deck, this makes more sense, then yeah, we switch. And I've given you the argument for other decks and which A-specs they should be playing. I've told you about the other A-specs and I've told you the circumstances under which they're seeing play. That makes perfect sense to me. But unless you've got a reason like that, Prime Catcher is going to be your go-to. It's that gosh darn good. Right, there we go, ladies and gentlemen. That's what you need to know. And now it's over to you guys. Tell me which is your favourite A-spec. Tell me what decks you're going to be playing post-rotation. Tell me anything you want to tell me in the comment section. And of course, give me your full 1 to 7 list. I would love to see it. Go nuts in the comment section, but be nice! And then make sure you like this video, subscribe to this channel, follow me on Twitter at Lawasi. That's where we talk about Pokemon and a whole bunch of other card games. And please do consider checking out patreon.com/PTCG Radio, where you can support the channel, get some bonus podcasts and all kinds of fun things. But by far the most important thing as always, look after yourselves till next time, would ya? Thank you very much for watching. My name's Ross, and you've been watching PTCG Radio.